Jubilation hits Iboland as Tinubu finally prepares Nnamdi Kanu's bail documents, and the shock of who signed Nnamdi Kanu's bail documents will leave Nigeria speechless. Something seismic is shifting beneath the surface of Nigerian politics, and the southeast is buzzing with an electricity that hasn't been felt in years. Sources with intimate knowledge of ongoing legal proceedings are now confirming what seemed unthinkable just months ago. Bail documents for detained IPOB leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu are not just being discussed. They are drafted, they are ready, and the identity of the high-ranking official who put their signature on those papers is about to detonate like a bomb inside a so rock. But to understand why this moment is so explosive, you first need to understand what has changed, because everything has changed. Abubakar Malami, the man who for years sat at the very top of Nigeria's justice apparatus as Attorney General under former President Muhammadu Buhari, is no longer a free man. He is in detention. The Federal High Court rejected his bail application, and now the same prison walls he once used as a political weapon against others have closed around him. Think about that for a moment. The man who publicly championed Kanu's controversial rendition from Kenya, the man who openly boasted about blocking a court-granted bail in Kanu's favor. That same man is now locked up, staring at the ceiling of a detention facility, while EFCC investigators systematically tear apart the legacy of his 8 years in office. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has been relentless. Operatives have seized documents, traced funds flowing through foreign accounts, and assembled a case that the court found compelling enough to deny him bail. The allegations reaching the public are staggering: corruption, abuse of the Attorney General's office, and financial misconduct with international dimensions. But beyond the personal fate of one disgraced official, something far more consequential is unfolding. Every decision Malami made while in office is now under judicial review, and that legal earthquake is cracking the very foundation of Nnamdi Kanu's detention. This is not legal theory. This is an established principle playing out in real time. If the man who orchestrated Kanu's extraordinary rendition, who blocked his bail, who weaponized the legal system to keep him behind bars, is found guilty of corruption and abuse of power, then every action he took in that official capacity becomes legally compromised. The illegal rendition from Kenya, the suppressed bail orders, the directives that extended Kanu's imprisonment far beyond what constitutional law could justify, all of it traces directly back to Malami. And Malami is now a suspect sitting in a prison cell. The entire legal architecture constructed to keep Nnamdi Kanu detained is crumbling from its own rotten foundation. Now here is where this story turns into something you have never seen in Nigerian politics. According to sources positioned close to the proceedings, the bail papers are finished. The legal framework is assembled and waiting. And the person who has signed them, or is positioned to sign them, is not a minor bureaucrat trying to quietly sweep a problem under the rug. This is someone operating at a tier of authority that makes the signing of these documents an act of enormous consequence. When their identity is confirmed publicly, it will do more than shock Nigerians. It will confirm what those who have watched this case closely have quietly known, that inside the highest corridors of the Tinubu government, there is a growing recognition that Nnamdi Kanu's detention can no longer be legally defended. Not with Malami in prison, not in this climate, not anymore. And what is creating that climate? Two of the most influential nations on the planet have stopped whispering and started pushing. The United States has made its position unmistakably clear through diplomatic channels, both official and otherwise. American officials have communicated serious concerns about Nigeria's commitment to due process, judicial independence, and internationally recognized human rights standards. This is not casual diplomatic language dropped into a routine conversation. This is sustained, high-level pressure from a country that Nigeria needs for economic partnerships, security cooperation, and global legitimacy. When Washington applies this kind of focused pressure, African governments do not simply shrug it off. Israel, too, has entered the conversation in ways that add an entirely new dimension to the crisis. Israeli officials, drawing from their own complex history of navigating security threats and civil unrest, have communicated to Nigerian authorities that indefinitely detaining someone under legally compromised circumstances does not deliver stability. It breeds deeper grievances. Their message has been direct, transparent judicial processes that honor constitutional rights are the only durable path forward. For Israel to take such a visible stance on this case signals to the entire international community just how far-reaching the concern over Kanu's situation has become. The pressure these two nations are applying has driven President Bola Tinubu into a corner, with walls closing in from every direction. On one side stand the domestic hardliners, security advisors, and political figures who believe that any concession toward Kanu's release is an invitation for further separatist agitation across the country. They argue that freeing him would send the wrong message, that it would be read as weakness, and that it could destabilize the southeast at precisely the moment the government needs calm. These voices are loud, and they carry real political weight inside Aso Rock. But on the other side stands a reality that cannot be wished away. The courts are dismantling the legal justifications for the detention piece by piece. Nigeria's international standing is being measured against this case by partners the country desperately needs. Foreign investment flows require credibility. Diplomatic relationships require trust. And the revelation that Kanu has been held under circumstances tainted by a now imprisoned Attorney General's corruption is the kind of exposure no administration can easily absorb. Tinubu must weigh not just the political optics of release, but the far greater cost of continued defiance in the face of collapsing legal ground and mounting global scrutiny. Meanwhile, Kanu's legal team, led with quiet brilliance by Aloy Ajamaka and Maxwell Opara, has played this with extraordinary discipline. They did not scramble, they did not grandstand. They allowed the truth to move at the speed of due process, knowing that patience in a case built on lies is not weakness, it is strategy. With Malami now behind bars, with the legal foundation of the detention exposed as the product of a man now accused of gross corruption, their methodical approach is arriving at exactly the moment they designed it for. The timing is aligning in a way that makes what once seemed like an impossible outcome start to look inevitable. And what happens if Nnamdi Kanu walks out of that detention facility through the proper application of law? The ripple effects would reshape Nigerian politics in ways that are only beginning to come into focus. It would establish that governmental power, no matter how aggressively wielded, carries a ceiling. That international pressure combined with a functioning judicial process can force accountability even from resistant administrations. That the Nigerian legal system, fractured and flawed as it is, still retains the capacity to correct its own abuses when confronted with undeniable evidence. The message that sends to every citizen, every activist, every community watching from the margins of power would be impossible to overstate. The facts are these. Malami is in detention, and the case against him is serious. The EFCC investigation has produced evidence directly implicating the legal processes that put Kanu behind bars. The United States and Israel are pressing the Tinubu government at levels that cannot be brushed aside. Bail papers are prepared and waiting, and the signature on those documents belongs to someone whose name, when revealed, will stop the country cold. The next few weeks will be unlike anything Nigeria has seen in this saga. Court proceedings in the Malami case are accelerating. International diplomatic channels remain active and engaged. And somewhere in the machinery of government, those documents sit quietly, ready for the moment when legal obligation and political will finally meet at the same crossroads. That moment is approaching faster than most people realize. And when it arrives, it will not just be one man's freedom that is restored. It will be proof that even in a system as bruised and battered as Nigeria's, justice has not completely gone silent. Stay locked in. This story is far from over, and the next chapter will be the most stunning one yet.